So I'm here at the premiere of Metallica 72 Seasons. It's presented in movie theaters in Dolby Atmos. Every song has its own film, and I'm unsure whether there's extra footage like documentary, but it's an opportunity to see a new album, listen to it with fans, and so far the energy is pretty high. Looking forward to it, and I'll report back more later. So just got out of the premiere of 72 Seasons by Metallica. It's a 12-song album. It is very straight ahead. You're not going to benefit from any kind of balladry like Fade to Black, Sanitarium, One, The Unforgiven. There's nothing like that here. On that point, we're not cursed with Unforgiven 4 or the fourth chapter of Cthulhu. So, you know, I thought this album, 72 Seasons, was going to be about like the first 18 years of your life, but it really doesn't stick to a theme that solidly. It does have to do with kind of self-growth, I guess, temptation and trying to discover your true self. Each song has its own video, and they range from fairly interesting to just really awful to watch. There's this song called Room of Mirrors, I think, and the video is just downright dreadful. It just looks bad. It looks kind of unfinished, and like maybe they got the color palette like all jacked up and then they just left it. And there's some videos where it's kind of the band being filmed with cameras swirling around and going upside down and sideways, and with different blur effects and different graphics kind of rushing by. So I don't know. It was nice to have something to look at the whole time, but the videos could be hit and miss. The album, the band kind of took pride in saying that they didn't go for a lot of variety, but just started with what they thought was a good riff and then made a song out of it. And I really think the album would have benefited from variety. It's over long. It's around 77 minutes. I could have dealt with it being about half that length, and just to have a little bit more variety. The album definitely quotes some of their classic material. You hear riffs lifted straight out of Eye of the Beholder, and the last song, like, just about plagiarizes themselves. It has a chorus that hangs off the word misery. I really couldn't get My Friend of Misery like out of my head, so that was a bit distracting. The album every once in a while mercifully lets up for some breaks, and there are a couple of tunes where you can actually hear Rob Trujillo, which is nice. There are some great riffs on this record. I would say that overall this record impressed me far, far more than Hardwired to Self-Destruct. It just doesn't have anything on it that approaches the best of the classic songs. And so, like I said, with this album, quoting older albums, each and every time I just kind of wished I was listening to the older songs. So anyway, about the Atmos, the Atmos was nearly non-existent. It was used mainly for harmony vocals, vocal echoes, and occasionally like a guitar effect echo. There are no keyboards on the album, so it's really just drums, bass, guitars, and vocals. And they chose to leave the majority of the sound dead up front, and I actually turned my head every now and then to try to just discern from a different angle whether I was just kind of missing out on the Atmos, and there really just wasn't much there. So I don't know if they will end up releasing like a digital video version of the album with an Atmos soundtrack. It could be that I'll get more out of Atmos on my own system. Maybe there was something about the theater that the speaker array made things a little indistinct, but I really, really would set your hopes low if you're looking for an Atmos experience on the level of like Kraftwerk. It's not going to happen. So yeah, that's disappointing. I'm not sure I actually would have bought tickets to the premiere if I knew that the Atmos was pretty much just a non-player. So I have the vinyl record coming. I'll be able to kind of sit and listen to it in more of a personal atmosphere. There were people talking, and there were people shouting constantly for the music to be turned up louder. The theater actually did indulge that, and after about the third song, they did turn up the volume. The benefit of that being that you could now discern the you could now discern the kick drum more. But I would say that by the time the ninth or 10th song rolled around, I was experiencing some ear fatigue. So all in all, I'm not sure that cranking the volume as much as they did was really a good thing. So anyway, that's Metallica, 72 Seasons. I caught the premiere here in Dublin, California at a Regal Cinema. And I think that Metallica fans are going to be reasonably pleased with this for a late career effort. The band gave long to short spoken intros to each song, and this album is definitely brought to you by the letter riff. They probably said the word riff at least 100 times, and every song featured somebody's favorite riff, or every song featured the best riff on the album. And in my opinion, there are really some great ones. I would say there are about 3 songs that stood out to me. Lux Eterna was definitely one of them. But I think I could take about half these songs and make a more solid 40-minute record. So don't hate me for that. If you love every minute of this album, I am super happy for you. I have a feeling that I will give the LP a deep listen and then pretty much return back to more of their classic material. They are going to broadcast 2 of their concerts in August to movie theaters. So given that the last Metallica show I went to was well over $100 and it didn't really sound that great, catching the 2 shows at a theater may be what I end up doing. Both nights are going to have an entirely different set list. So I think what they're doing is they're going to roll into town. They're going to play 2 nights in each town, and each town will get 2 completely different set lists. Like, not one song for one night versus the other will be the same. Entirely different set lists. So that's a cool idea. And, it entices fans to buy more tickets. So that's the cynical side of me coming out. James, I think, is in better voice than he's been for quite some time. They unleashed Kirk again on lead guitar, so this album has a guitar solo on just about every song. Some of them struck me as well constructed, and some of them are really just noodly messes that just sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like they didn't have anything better to do with 30 seconds. But the best solo on the album, I could see from the way they filmed it, is actually played by James. So there you have it. The premiere is done. The record officially drops tomorrow. And I hope everybody enjoys it just as much as could be hoped for. Appreciate you watching. And I will be sure to review the album in full once I've had a chance to listen on the hi-fi. So thanks a lot. Catch you later.